Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Child Psychology, Module 15, the role of separation in child development. My name is Nadeem Sikander. The email address is on the screen, dr.nsikander@gmail.com. Let's see what objectives are we going to cover tonight. So far, we have done 14 modules. This is going to be the 15th one. So we will be looking at the impact of separation. This module is, targeting the role of separation in child development. So we will be looking at the impact of separation, and we will be looking at different stages, the impact that the children have due to separation. We will be looking at the effects change depending upon the age of the age range in which that affects children. And we will also be seeing how to minimize. So as we will be going through each age group, we will be seeing how to minimize. And I think that would be an important piece of information for many, how to minimize these effects. And we will also see the role of parents and caregivers in child development. That has been the discussion all along. So far, the course has noted importance of adult-child, basically the relationship, specifically the parent-child relationship in child development. Yet many of you know, and we all know, that the families are not necessarily always stay together, because separation and loss plague families in North America and other parts of the world, whether it is due to divorce, death, being removed from a parental care, and it could be a loss or separation that could simply have a significant impact on child's development. Now, in this module, you will learn how separation or loss impacts child at every age. So you will also learn how to minimize the effects of these changes and how the effects vary from age to age. So let's look at the worst case scenario here. So the separation and loss impacts on child development. The rearrangement of or collapse of the most important structure in child's life. World may vitally alter the way experience the world, right? So the child's world may vitally alter the way they experience the world, and it may change how they develop who they are, right? So when infants who are only few weeks old, we're talking about infants, can recognize the conflict. Would you believe that infant can actually recognize the conflict and the distress at home? And the way these things are processed grows more acute over time. So the worst separation, or the worst kind of separation or loss, is the kind marked by a high level of conflict. Verbal conflict, anger, distrust, low cooperation in parenting process, and negative attitude towards family members can all impact the child negatively. It is essential, however, to keep the negative impact in mind when considering the general effects of loss or separation on an individual child. So let's look at the separation during the first year of life, right? So the specific effect have been noted for children who are separated from or lose a parent during their first year of life. So the short-term effect of these events may result in regression of dependency needs. It may also play a role in degrading the child's feeling of security and may undermine the trust they have that adults or people they love are regularly available to them. So additionally, loss and separation often come with significant changes in child's daily routine, either due to change in the caregiver or disruption caused by emotional stress. Each child is different, but for some, the change in routine can cause delays in sequencing of development event or the developmental events. Long-term effects should also be considered. If the disruption results in deprivation for the child, it is possible that the child's mindset may be altered later in life. They may struggle to trust others. And studies have shown that many who face separation as infants struggle to meet the needs of others, right? So that's pretty much in studies that those who face the separation as infants struggles to meet the needs of others. Some also suggest that learning issues can accompany young children. So how do we minimize? So as we're looking at the age range of first year, how do we minimize the effects here? So minimizing the effects of separation or loss is difficult. For infant, it means returning to meeting developmental needs as soon as possible. It may also include working to build trust in infants to teach them that they can rely on adults. Ultimately, consistent routines have shown to be the best course of action for correcting or minimizing the impact of loss on infants. Now, look at the separation during toddler years from age 1 to 3. These are the years that we're going to look at. Children who experience loss or separation experience different effects from infants. So this age range from 1 to 3 experience differently as far as the separation is concerned. They often find that the balance between the appropriate levels of dependence and independence shift or are disrupted during this time. It may also interfere with the child's identity, particularly if positions in the family are rearranged. Now, separation during these years may also impact the child's language development. During these years, one parent often acts as someone who interprets for the child, for example, and they begin to grasp the language. Now, if the loss or separation happens or take place, the child loses or it affects the child's language development, right? That he generally or she generally shows progress. So long-term effects in this age may include taking on a victim mentality, right? And child may feel like the world owes them something. Some children take the role of being victimizers. Serious effects can include difficulties in development of self-awareness skills, issues with ego development, for example, and more long-term language issues that often present in a subtle manner. So that's what we're looking at the age 1 to 3. So now what we're going to see is we're going to see how to minimize the effects. So minimizing the effect of separation at this age can be difficult. It requires finding a careful balance between meeting their needs while encouraging the appropriate level of independence. Some parents or caregivers will allow certain level of regression in developmental stages. Encouraging the child to reacquire or acquire missing skills again is useful, and success often occurs after a few months. Now, what is most important at this age is not to place undue pressure on the child to continue functioning at the highest level or to acquire new skills. Children need time for reattachment and to deal with the transition. Remember, we're talking about separation. Forcing them to move through these phases without the appropriate amount of time can result in a greater likelihood of long-term issues. So keep in mind, you have to allow them time to go through this transition when separation is taking place, because it could have further dire consequences. And that was 1, 2, 3. Now, separation in early childhood years from age 3 to 6. Now, difficulties continue to occur and develop when a child experiences separation and loss during these preschool and early school years. One of the most critical changes in the way these experiences affect children is that their magical and egocentric thinking often result in a misunderstanding of the causes of these changes, right? Adults need to address the child's thinking and identify the thought that they may be result from misinterpretation. This is an age where the child may believe that they caused the change. This is the age from 3 to 6, they believe they are the one who caused the change. And many actually believe that they think that they can do something to reverse it. This is the age that they're living in. Essentially, this is the age where a child might equate the love of a parent to the reason for potentially leaving. So the way they may also convince themselves that if they were to be a better child, right, if they were to be doing their homework on time and doing all of the good things, the event would have not occurred. The poor kids in this age are literally taking the blame from the age 3 to 6 on themselves to undo the damages the parents are causing. And this can confuses their own beliefs in good and bad personality traits that they exhibit. Because right now, if they're thinking that it could be them who are causing the event, and if they were to be a little bit better people, if they do a good job, they perhaps can undo or perhaps reverse all this. But that also is basically confusing them. If you see it, the child is trying to figure it out and trying to see if he or she can undo it and keep these parents over them, who are actually separating. That actually confuses them about good and bad, and that's really definitely personality trait that they exhibit, because the child is saying to himself or herself, like, I'm doing this and I'm doing, oh mom, I will do this for you, or I will make my bed, I will clean this, all that. But he's not finding any results, because what he's trying to do is he's trying to help you undo that. But you're not going to do that. You're just going to continue to do what you're going to do. That's usually is the case, because I mean, who thinks of kids anyway, right? Nowadays, it's just a matter of, let's do what pleases us. Well, then why have kids? That's my position. Once you're married, once you have kids, unless obviously I'm not saying that there are no possibilities, there are, but once you have kids, your entire circle or your focus should be your children, not you and me and what I like and what you don't like. I think these are the things you need to figure out beforehand. To me, at least in my view, that's how it is. And because it affects children, and then this just goes on and on and on. And I'm not saying that there is no, there are situations, there are circumstances where people do get separations and they part their ways. But hey, that you gotta figure it out. I mean, I do sometimes have sessions with people who wanted to get married and wanted to have children and so on and so forth. I mean, I always ask them one question: why do you want to do that? And what's your goal? What are you looking to get out of this, right? So what happens next? Do you know anything about it? You want to have children? Why? What are you planning on doing with children? So I think there's a lot of educational pieces that needs to get in. to those who are planning to get married, wanted to get committed, and then want to have children, and then they feel like they're themselves, they're still children, and they're still a child in an adult's body. So I think that just confuses them too. So anyway, going back to that, so the children get confused at this age. They're trying to fix it, but they can't find a way to fix it. That confuses them about good and bad. It can also result in an attachment to adults that they indiscriminate, and it may mirror the attachment exhibited by the newborn baby or an infant. So there are also potential long-range issues that are associated with the loss at this age. So this age has other long-term issues. The child may consider themselves to be bad child, a bad person, and they may believe that they are the one who's causing all this. They're the reason to cause this loss. So I think we need to consider that. Let's get on to the next one. What can we do to minimize the effect? Of course, we are moving in that route. The separation is happening. We picked that, we chose that, there's no way out of it, but how do we minimize the effect? Minimizing the effects for children at this age is different from reacting to toddlers, right? So where toddlers require a balance that requires action and support of developmental needs, children between the ages of 3 and 6, what we're talking about, need adults to understand their thinking. The identification and clarification of ego-centric magical thinking are as crucial as remedying the issue. Okay, so additionally, the child often needs their place in the family to be reaffirmed consistently. Explanations should be age appropriate and should account for the change without placing undue stress on the child. Play becomes incredibly important. I think you can note this, that at this age, and opportunities to play alone and with others should be provided. Children at this age resolve almost all psychological issues through playtime. So this is how you can sort of mitigate or minimize the effects of what's going on in adults' life as far as the separation is concerned. And we're talking about 3 to 6. Let's move on to the fact. One of the factors is that since relationships are so critical to the growth and development of a child, any kind of rearrangement or collapse of the family unit in particular can have detrimental effect on the child's growth process. So keep that in mind, please. So let's look at the separation during school years. The short-term effects of separation and loss will present differently in children who have entered in elementary school compared to the children who are in their preschool years. So children who are in school will often lose the energy to deal with their daily tasks like school, play, chores, etc. An additional challenge at this age resides in that children can identify differences between themselves and their peers. Now, the differences identified can result in behavioral issues with peers. Now, long-term issue or the long-term issues can result in a disruption in, for example, academic work and in relationship building with peers due to, of course, separation. Additionally, the child might internalize their feelings or conscience that this can result in a long-term behavioral issues. So, folks, this is pretty simple. At this age, they are really taking it more seriously, what's happening in the parent's life. So let's look at, as we are talking about the school age kids, right, we're going to see how to minimize the effects of the separation. Children at this age need an outlet or opportunity to keep to help them focus on the grieving process. Now, like we know that parents are being separated, It is a process for them to grieve. And like I just mentioned, they're trying to fix it. They're trying to see what they can do to change it. So now they're seeing it happening, that issue is taking place. That actually gets them to a grieving mode, and which is they're going through grieving process. This will help them focus on other important tasks for their age when required. Children at this age have also moved past the magical thinking of the preschool age, because they're in school, but they may still struggle to expand their thinking about their loss. Facts are key here. Another useful workshop includes encouraging healthy disengagement. Allow the child to disengage from structures or units that have changed or no longer exist. Helps children let go of the past. When they feel safe, letting go of the past, it feels safer to move on and develop new attachments. So that's how you would minimize the effect in the school-going age. Let's look at the adolescence time. Adolescence is characterized by a need to present opposition to parent and authority figures while relying on their consistent presence in the child's life. So separation can disrupt these tasks because the child may present this opposition, but will find a lack of consistency in their parents being there, right? I mean, even they are in opposition this age, they're in opposition with you, right? They're opposing you, but they still need you. And if you're not there, that definitely affects them. So feelings of control are also likely to impact the life of an adolescent. If they feel their life or their decisions are out of control, they may start engaging in a negative behavior or behaviors that may be out of character. Long-term effects in this case of these disruption can include rebellion, antisocial behavior. Extreme cases can result in depression, which may sometimes result in suicidal tendencies. So in adolescence age, you can find these type of issues. So how do we minimize that? So I'm going to go slow on this part because this age is a little bit more crucial, where you have suicidal tendencies and they're opposing you. They're not trying to fix it, but they're also in their, it's an age where they're children, but they're opposing you. But then they can have suicidal tendencies because they're unable to fix your relationship. Not that they're trying to fix it, but then you are separating. A lot of happening, and in the midst of all of that, the issues that they are facing themselves as adolescent are already enough for them, and the icing on the cake would really is your separation. So how do we minimize? Minimizing the effect of separation and loss for teenagers often requires additional measures of control. Providing adolescents with a high level of control of their lives as possible can be particularly beneficial for managing short-term effects. That's one. What else can be done is keeping adolescents involved in decision-making is also crucial. While it is not practical to involve them in every decision, helping them remain in control for their future is essential. What else can be done? Providing grief assistance is also important. Encouraging the dissemination of information about their personal histories and their early relationship helps retain a sense of who they are, and it reminds them that they are also worthy of love and support from adults and themselves. So teenagers may also struggle to determine how much of their personal lives or histories should be revealed to others, particularly to intimate friends and acquaintances. Helping them find this balance is important for self-expression and protecting personal relationships. Folks, this would be the last thing we can do in terms of mitigating or are finding strategies to minimize the effects of the separation that's taking place. In conclusion, the way a child deals with separation and loss changes as they grow and develop. Understanding how their loss changes and how to minimize the effect of these losses is the key to foster healthy development, even in the event of separation or loss. Now, at the end, I would like to say that yes, separation take place. Yes, not all parents can remain together. Yes, children have to suffer the consequences. Tough luck. It is what it is. But I truly believe that all of these pieces of information given, if we involve our children in the process and educate them on what's going on early on, and it's better to prepare them than to surprise them with something. So I think that that's very important to keep that in mind. I hope our parents stay together, focus children, help them because they need them. And actually, the children need parents more than the parents need children. So that's why we have children, and that's what we aim for, that once you're married, once you have children, you stay focused on them, because you don't want to damage the most prized possession that you have as a parent. Folks, thank you all very much once again. Congratulations on completing module number 15, the role of separation in child development. God bless you all. Thank you all very much for watching. Take good care of yourself. We'll see you in the next session. And that would be language development. And that would be the session number 16. Thank you.